Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. Great to have you in the conversation. You've got a changing political landscape out there. I'm looking at a piece. Let's see. This is Gallup, their daily tracking poll. And the point of this piece is that the states, the individual states in the United States, are not leaning Democratic in 2013 nearly as much as they have in years past. And this shows the comparison between the way in which the states leaned politically in 2008 when Barack Obama was campaigning for the presidency the first time. There were 29 states in 2008 that were solidly Democratic, 6 that leaned Democratic for a total of 35. There were just 4 solid Republican states in 2008 and just 1 that leaned Republican. So there were 5 states that either were Republican, solid, or leaned Republican, and 35 that were Democratic, either solidly or leaning. That was 35-5. So Democrats had a plus 30 margin in 2008. Now that number dropped to a margin of 12 in 2010. That is the run-up to the 2010 election. That's when the Tea Party rose up, trying to stop Obamacare. There was the tsunami that swept through D.C., cleaned out a lot of dead wood, put a lot of new Tea Party people in place, and that was with a 12-point advantage, 12-state advantage for the Democrats. Now, in 2013, the Democrats are down to a plus 3 advantage. There are only 3 more states that are solidly Democratic or lean Democratic than there are Republican states. There are 12 solidly Democratic states. There are also 12 solidly Republican states. So Gallup is saying, look, there are 12 states, they're going Democrat virtually no matter what you do. And they identify some of those states, places like New York, Hawaii, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Maryland. All of them have a 20-point or more Democrat advantage there. So, they're virtually irretrievable, at least in our lifetime, from the Republican Party. But there's only 12 of them, down from 29 in 2008. I think the line of demarcation is if there's a more than a 10-point advantage, then it goes into the solid Democrat. More than 10-point advantage for the Republicans, it goes into the solid Republican category. Leans means there's between a 5 and a 10% advantage. But only 5 lean Democrat in 2013. That's 17 either solidly or leaning on the Republican side. 12 are solidly Republican, 2 lean Republican. That's 14. So 17 are Democrat or lean Democrat, and 14 are Republican or lean Republican. And the point of all of that is that, the landscape is changing. I mean, I hear all the time from people, I'll do radio interviews, and when are you going to admit that it's all over? It's all is lost. Progressive liberals have carried the day. Well, the answer is absolutely not true. Still very much, the mindset of the American people still very much up for grabs. Jeff, I want to bring you in. Jeff Reed, my producer, we were talking, Jeff, on the news break about that little thing that Jimmy Fallon did with all these low information voters. And, it's really kind of phenomenal, and one of the points that I made is that, these low information, they're really no information voters. They don't know anything. They didn't even know that the State of the Union speech hadn't even been given lists. These are not low information voters. They are no information voters. And yet the reality is, Jeff, their vote is going to count just as much as your vote and my vote count.
Yeah, listening to that was kind of humorous, but then as you listen to more of it, the reality is it's kind of sad. It makes you realize that maybe, it kind of gives you a peek into the liberal mindset that they only need to convince a certain base of people. They don't need to convince everybody. They're not too worried about the educated or informed voters. They just need enough low information voters to win elections.
Well, it's interesting to me, I think you made the observation, the liberals really have an incentive to keep the American people uneducated and dumb.
Yeah.
Because they really do not want the American people to think for themselves, or they might start seeing through all of the bilge and the swill that liberals throw at them.
Right, and I would add distracted as well. Keeping the American public distracted with entertainment, different things, music, pop culture. That has a big influence on whether or not people are paying attention to what's happening to the policies set and laws set in our nation.
Well, one of the advantages we were talking about that liberals have in a situation like that, when you have people that maybe their main source of information is going to be MTV, or maybe it's going to be ESPN if they watch TV at all, and they probably have they probably never ever exposed to a conservative news outlet of any kind wherever. So it's going to be pretty easy to lie to them and get them to believe it.
Well, you think about it, that's all they really need to do. And we're seeing evidence of that through the president's speeches and the way politicians handle things. All they need to do is lie enough and demonize anybody that wants to bring the truth or opposes them whatsoever.
You know, and it's like what they're saying to these people that are poor, dumb, and happy is we don't want you to think for yourselves. I mean, that may be one of the reasons why you've got education philosophy right now, and our colleges of education are just hopeless. I mean, kids are just simply not being educated. They can't even read. And I read somewhere not too long ago that like 8 to 10% of college athletes that are in college on scholarship cannot even read. They're in college and they can't read. But and I forgot where I was going with this, but you know, so these liberal politicians, they can throw out these lies. They're basically saying, look, we're going to tell you what to think. You don't have to worry about thinking for yourself. You don't have to worry about critically analyzing what's going on politically. We will tell you what to think. We will tell you what the numbers are, and we will tell you who to vote for. Yeah. And they're just fine with that, and they have no reason to question the information that they're being given.
Yeah, and again, it goes back. They only need to convince 51% of the people that they need. That's all they need to do is fool that many people, and they will consolidate the power to themselves.
You know, and you got 49% of the American people do not pay income tax.
Ooh.
I mean, the income tax rate for the bottom 40% of taxpayers is actually negative 9.2%, right, meaning that they get 9.2% more back from the government than they paid in. So the income tax return, that's another welfare program for them. And so so if you got 49% of the people that are in that category where they have no tax liability whatsoever, then those people, they're going to be for whoever is going to promise them the most goodies, and that makes them, and you're already at 49%. This is what Mitt Romney was talking about. Right. Turns out he was right.
And we're about to add a whole bunch more with amnesty.
Well, you know, and that's the thing, you know, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in the program, but I mean, amnesty to me is a suicide mission for the Republicans, and they're taking the lead on this. They're the lead dogs on this. I don't even understand that.
Yeah. And it seems like we're hitting the critical mass, the pivot point, and the Republicans are doing nothing about it.
All right, Jeff, listen, I appreciate that. Jeff Reed, my producer. You know, it's just kind of an amazing thing that's going on, and maybe we'll have a chance to get back to this immigration thing a little bit, but it's a complete mystery to me, ladies and gentlemen, why the Republican Party is taking the lead on amnesty. It's insane. It is political suicide. You know, and Jeff Sessions is talking about this. We already have 92 million unemployed Americans, 92 million. We have 50 million people in poverty. We have a real, genuine unemployment rate of somewhere around 11.3%. Household income is down 4.5% since the so-called recovery. Only 74,000 jobs created last month. And the Republicans are out there saying, we want to bring in another 30 million people that don't have jobs. We want to bring them in. What are they going to do? They're going to take away jobs from the lowest skilled, least educated Americans. It's suicidal for the country, suicidal for the Republican Party. I don't get it. Back in 2.